Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing? Happy Saturday. Hey there, Rochelle. Hey, Ice Queen. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Hey there, Becca. Hey, DKM. Deb T9C. How you doing? 72 and sunny sounds like California. Hey, Lady Di. It's been a while since you've been in the chat. How you doing? How you doing? Hey there, Majestic. How you doing? Hey, Crystal. Yeah, getting a diagnosis finally after not knowing what's wrong with you for so long is sort of a relief, isn't it? I'm glad that you're finally getting some answers there. Hey there, Crystal, Dandra, Metal Chick, Helene, Maggie. How is everyone's weekend going so far? JLL, how you doing? How you doing? Lorena, how are you? Lift table test, I've heard of that. Hey, Granny. It has been warm, hadn't it? Everywhere, sweating. Is that Trish? How you doing? How you doing? Hey there, Miller Time. How are you? Yeah, I don't understand or appreciate whatever Olivia's doing here, which is why we're doing a video about it. This is not the time to be metaphorical and poetic and cutesy. It's not. So I don't understand why she's coming out here and saying stuff like, those silly little cops saying those silly little things, and that's not her at all, while also saying things like, oh, a stitch can fix that. Oh, we can get new teeth for that. Like, obviously, she was screwed up. It's multiple reports saying how disfigured her face was. So while you're sitting here saying that you don't want these photos to come out of the bodies, which has not been the case at all here, except for what happened with Xana, which is not because of a law. The reason why they were removed is because the laws are saying that that has to be redacted right now, which is already what's happening. And I just feel like this law did not do anything. Like, I'm not mad about it being in there. If they had to actually put the stipulation in there for bodies not to be just willy-nilly released to the public, I'm not against that. I'm not against that. But nothing that they did with this changed anything. It doesn't change the photos that we've already received, nothing like that. So then to also claim that, like, the way that she was described in the reports, like, really messed with your head, and then when you saw something, you realized it was different, but you're basically telling us that the reports are incorrect, but then telling us that you don't want us to see the proof that the reports are incorrect. So what are you doing, Olivia? What are you doing? Again, this is not the time to be metaphorical, poetic, the big sister who's heartbroken. That can only be going so far right now whenever you're talking about, like, legislature, when you're talking about something being a law. So to sit there and say that she didn't look anything like that, that wasn't it. She was just my sister to me, about the subject being the photos of the crime scene, and there's already so many things that we have questions about. Why would you come out here and make it sound as if the reports are wrong more than we've already seen? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? So we're going to talk about all of that, because she also said some things that she's already said other things about. Like, she told us before, she only saw one picture. They offered to show her more and she couldn't handle it. Well, then in her testimony, and what she says with Jesse Weber, it's all opposite. She saw more of the pictures. She saw all of Kaylee. She saw more pictures of the crime scene. That's not what you said, though. And she's talking about the October incident when she met with the prosecutor in both things. And I'm just like, why are we getting contradictions? Why are you changing it to make it fit what you're fighting here, which, again, hasn't changed anything? I'm very confused. It's almost as redundant as the gag order fight. Remember how we were questioning, like, why are y'all fighting the gag order? Like, what is the point of what's going on here, considering the fact that y'all were not under the gag order? Why are you in here fighting the gag order? I don't know. There's just a lot of redundant things I feel like happens here. And I'm not really quite understanding, again, the reason for this, on top of Steve not knowing, like, what the hell he's talking about. So I went in today and I got everything, because I wasn't sure what we were going to go live about tonight. I wasn't positive. But I know that we needed to talk about this, because he Steve told us that it was Bill 1135 when he did an interview in January. Well, then he comes and does this interview with Alivea, and he's basically like, yeah, I was on the sidelines. I don't know anything about it. Well, then why did you really give us such incorrect information back in January? So here we are once again cleaning up the mess. Here we are cleaning up the mess and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So like I said, I went in today and I grabbed everything in chronological order as best that I could. And I have her October clip. I have the testimony. Thank you, Sarah, for sending me that. I didn't have the actual testimony that she went on like video and spoke to them back in February. I didn't have that. But I took that Sarah sent me, and then I have the one that Alivea posted on her TikTok page 2 days ago. Once this got approved, because she was sort of interrupted by her daughter on the live thing, so she didn't get to say everything she had written down. So we're going to listen to that one, but we're also going to listen to the full one, and then we're going to listen to the interview between Jesse Weber and her and Steve, just so they can see the contradictions, because I don't understand why. And I'm going to probably end up changing the title on the thumbnail to just hashtag sad day for trolls, because for some reason, and I should have done that originally because that's like what I had wanted it to be. Christy is like probably one of the most immature older women that I've ever encountered in my life. It's got to be her that runs this page more than anything. I mean, if I'm wrong in that I'm sorry, but you're still really immature. When they announced that this had been approved, it was all hashtag for trolls and like all this crazy stuff. That might be true for like some people wanting to like view certain things for their own nasty ass reasons. Okay. But when that's coming from the same family that tells you not to read court documentation, and that's coming from the same family that was handed 20 pages worth of their daughter's documents, and they haven't even bothered to take in the time to sit their asses down and look at 20 pages, I'm sorry. I can't really take you too seriously. I just can't. Like, this is so absolutely stupid. So I don't know why we are getting inconsistent statements from Alivea for something that there's a paper trail for in way of how much she actually saw. But we're going to look at that right now. I'm about to open it. I just want to change the thumbnail because that's what I had originally wanted on there. I don't know why I didn't just do it like that to begin with. I just don't understand the immaturity in the entire thing. Like, you want us to take you seriously and you say that this isn't a movie and that everything is so ridiculous. But here y'all are throwing yourselves into the middle of something that A, doesn't have anything to do with anything that's happening in this case right now, and B, y'all don't even seem to really be like on the same page of everything, because again, Steve didn't even know the bill number. He gave us one that never made it past like the first phase back in 2025. So I don't know why he gave us any of that information. Okay, I changed the thumbnail. Yeah, they're trying to get all the attention on themselves, which is so dumb. Like, you already have a lawsuit with WSU. And now we have EWU trying to get more information. Like, there's all these back and forth things going on. Like, it's just so ridiculous that they even felt the need to actually do this. Hey there, Sprinkle Love. How you doing? How you doing? Didn't Alivea actually ask to see the photos? No, opposite. Like, one. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the first part that I'm going to show you. She told Bryan Inton in October that earlier in October, she went to go see the prosecutor by herself, that her parents did not go with her, and that there was just one photo from inside Maddie's room that she looked at, and they offered more photos, but she didn't want to see more than one photo. So then she says the opposite. She says she sees other photos. Now, all she says is that the photo that she saw of inside Maddie's room had Maddie completely redacted. So I don't know if they showed her Maddie and Kaylee on the bed and Kaylee was not redacted, because she damn sure did not say that in this interview. She didn't get into any specifics at all. And honestly, when she said that it was inside Maddie's room, but that Maddie was redacted, I thought that it was like the knife sheath. Because why would you mention Maddie but not Kaylee in the photo? I thought it was the knife sheath. Again, she came and did this interview and gave all this information, but didn't get into any specifics about anything that could really help us figure this out. So now we're trying to figure it out after she's done changed her story. It's absolutely so stupid. Oh, thank you for the 5, Lori. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm going to play this. I have like a little indicator in the middle of where something stops. It's only like 3 seconds long, so that's where I'll stop in between stuff. But listen to what she says. Listen to what she said in October.
Did wind up viewing one photo of the scene of Maddie's bedroom. Maddie was completely redacted. They offered more, but I truly didn't need to see more than the one.
Okay. She did not need to see more than the one. They offered more. She didn't want to see it. She doesn't mention anything about Kaylee being in the photo. She simply just says, inside Maddie's room, Maddie was completely redacted. So again, naturally, my brain went to, oh, it must have been the knife sheath, because she's not mentioning Kaylee. Okay. No additional photos. Keep that in mind, because her story changes. Her story changes. Now, I think this next part's going to be Steve. Okay. This next part, Steve, this is from a video that I put out. I'll get this where I need it. This is from a video that I put out on March the 16th. It is a reaction video to an interview that he did in January on the 27th. This is where he tells us the incorrect bill number. And in the video, I went in and found the bill information. So this is going to be a clip from my old video talking to you guys about 1135 because it's part of this story. So I'm going to let that play for a second.
We're working with legislators. We're going to try to fix this. Idaho has Bill 1135 that hopefully will protect this type of information and make sure that it never gets out.
So according to this, Idaho Senate Bill 1135 is to amend existing law to provide that certain records regarding coroners shall be exempt from disclosure and to provide that next of kin shall have access to certain reports prepared by a coroner. I understand them not wanting photographs and things like that out there, but when it comes to a coroner's report, when it comes to a medical examiner's report, we should be able to see the actual reports that are written up, the way that the wounds are described, the forensic evidence that was found when wounds were tested, if there was any sort of debris found that was tested, if there's anything like that, we should be able to read the reports, but also pay attention to the verbiage of this bill. It only mentions the coroner. It doesn't mention medical examiner. And that's wherein lies the huge difference, because Mabbitt would be the coroner, the one who was completely insufficient, the one that was speaking to the Goncalves' minor child about the injuries when it came to both Kaylee and Maddie on a phone call that was completely unprofessional. And she's also the one who ended up giving the defense thumbnails of the x-rays instead of the full-on x-ray photos that they ended up having to actually get from the medical examiner themselves in Spokane, Washington. So again, keep in mind the verbiage that this is about a coroner, not about medical examiner, and the two things are completely different. Now, when I try to get some sort of status for this bill 1135, it says that it was presented on February 27th, 2025, which was over a year ago, and that there's no current voting record available. And if we go back to where we actually got our summary right here, it says it was introduced February 26, 2025, and it died in committee. So I don't know if this pending Senate Judiciary and Rules Committee means that there's actually something going to be happening, but there's literally been no movement on this thing in over a year. And that matters because I'm not seeing physically anything stating this is going to be going forward. And Steve Goncalves is mentioning this in an interview that's posted January 27th, 2026,
a year
almost
later.
A year after it was originally introduced and died in the committee. So I don't know why he ended up mentioning this, because it doesn't look like it's anything that's going to be going forward anyway. Okay. That again was from January, where he came out and mentioned 1135, and it had not passed and gone any further in a year. So I don't know why he mentioned a dead bill when Alivea had been working on something with a completely different number that was current. Why would you come out and just give the incorrect information, making it sound as if y'all are lying because no one's talking about Bill 1135 and no one's saying anything in the media about the Goncalves family working with legislatures like you guys are trying to say. Like, none of that stuff was happening. So that didn't help anything, literally at all. So the next one you're going to see is the one that Sarah sent me. Sarah, with all of the documents over on Twitter, you guys talk to her all the time over here on the chat. She sent me the actual testimony when Alivea talked to the legislature on February 11th, 2026. Now, her daughter gets in it, so I had to edit some of the videos. So on some parts, you only see like this much of Olivia's face because her daughter's right there in like her diaper. I really wish that whoever made sure the public had access to this didn't just like allow the baby in the diaper to just be all up in that damn video, but we do what we need to do to protect all that stuff here. So here we go with this one. And again, I'm going to play her actual testimony again after this that she posted on her TikTok 2 days ago when this got announced, because this one is a bit interrupted.
Next, I have Alivea Goncalves. I'm saying that right. Let's try this. It's also virtual.
Hi, I apologize.
Miss Goncalves, am I saying that right?
It's Goncalves.
Oh, okay, Goncalves.
Within an hour.
If you could.
But it's really not though, right? Because isn't she like actually physically married? Like, I'm pretty sure the police report from her arrest it's pretty prominent. Like, they're married. So I don't even actually know what her married name is supposed to be. I guess I need to go back and read it.
Please state your name for the record, and then please keep your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Alivea Goncalves. So my sister Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogen were murdered in their beds, along with Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle, on November 13th, 2022, in Moscow, Idaho. When the first scene photos were released, they were everywhere all at once. Within an hour, they were completely unavoidable.
Now, keep in mind, again, the bill that they are talking about is for bodies. It's not for crime scene photos. It's for bodies specifically. And that has not happened except by an accident with Xana, with the ISP drop. Everything else in way of the victims, they have been blurring out and blocking out from the original releases. So keep all of that in mind when she's talking about this, because the subject is not for crime scene photos in general. It is about bodies, which we have not had to deal with. And at this point, had they been out at this point? That drop was on 120. Yeah, the drop that had Xana's body not redacted was on 120/26. So it was right before this. But this is being based off of, according to her interview, she only wanted to join this fight to get this passed because, and this is another thing that makes no sense, Thompson couldn't promise they wouldn't be leaked because he didn't know who else had access to them. Again, since when do rules matter to people that are going to hack or steal information and leak it? That's as redundantly idiotic as thinking that gun laws actually work to keep them away from criminals. Criminals are going to do whatever the hell they want to do regardless of the laws. Photos are going to leak regardless of if there's a freaking law in place that says they can't. That's the point of it being called a leak instead of a release. The whole thing just feels really redundant. I can't like stress that enough in my mind, how much it feels like this was like just for attention and not really for anything relevant. And again, I'm not mad that they're doing this. I'm fine with them not letting bodies out. Y'all know how I handled Xana's. I'm just not quite understanding their purpose with the way that they're putting their purpose out there. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I opened my Facebook app not knowing what I was looking at. My stomach sank, my heart rate spiked, and the panic set in. I was the one to call my mom, my dad, and Xana's sister. And all I could say was to stay offline and to not turn the TV on.
But see, that was like the ones that just happened on 1/20/26. That's how she described what happened with the Idaho drop. That's why she just mentioned how she called Jasmine.
They were already being shared far and wide beyond just the taxpayers of the United States. Before this, it was a sunny Friday afternoon in August, after business hours, and there was absolutely nothing I could do.
Okay, so it was MPD.
I wanted to give a little bit of context. In my sister's case, there was a non-dissemination order that was put in place, and I'm going to apologize as well. I'm a mom. I apologize. You're
No worries. Picking up the kids allowed.
There was a non-dissemination order that was put in place. After sentencing, we were told that it would be months before any photos came out, but that's not really what happened. On the day of sentencing, Moscow Police Department released 578 documents.
Not of bodies
And,
or anything.
I did include the exact verbiage that was given regarding my sister, but I see that there's children present today, so I'm not going to give those exact words. But I will say the mental images created by these words were absolutely horrific. My fear of the unknown was further compounded by intense public interest and a very real possibility.
And what she's talking about there is how they described her face, how they described the fact that she was so destroyed. So let me just actually stop for a second and I'll pull up the reports because she's going to say it in all of its words when she does it on her TikTok. But what she's trying to claim here, for some weird ass reason, is that what's in these reports about how Kaylee's face was so unrecognizable of being an actual facial structure because of how extremely damaged her face was. And whose report was this? This was Gunderson's. So then we have Smith. Smith describes it as the female laying on the left half of the bed as I looked at it from the doorway was unrecognizable. Her face was completely disfigured and was stabbed several times. I was unable to comprehend exactly what I was looking at while trying to discern the nature of the injuries. Let's see what Warner says. Does Warner say anything about her face? The other female had multiple lacerations to her upper body and some blood on her face. Oh, no, the other one. Okay, right here. One female on the left side of the bed in relation to the bedroom door had an extreme amount of lacerations to her face and upper body, which made her unrecognizable. Meaning there was nothing left of her facial structure where you could get a face ID. Even if her license was sitting right next to her on the pillow, it would not look like her. They have already told us that from her facial injuries alone, her cranial injuries alone, the Goncalveses have already said to us that could have killed her alone without the rest of it. That she asphyxiated on her own blood, that her injuries were so severe. So you trying to tell us now that that was false? By sitting here and claiming that those things weren't real. When you saw it, that's not how you saw her. That's because you're trying to be poetic and cutesy, and this is not the time for that. This is not the time for that. I don't understand her purpose here in doing this, because she's making it seem as if there's more inconsistencies and more issues while they are fighting to stop us from seeing facts. This is the most back-assward ass family in existence, if you ask me. Seriously. In October, the one picture. She's grown to love the prosecution team that they complain about on a daily basis very much. You heard that, huh? It's not doing the sound now? Okay, let me see what happened. Okay, hold on.
Thick and not.
Can you hear it now?
There was a non-dissemination order that was put in place. After sentencing, we were told that it would be months before any photos came out. But that's not really what happened. On the day of sentencing, Moscow
That's good
Moscow
now.
Police Department released 578 documents.
What was that ridiculous ass comment? If you think that asking them why they're coming out and lying about things is criticizing them, then you're on the wrong channel. Seriously. You should care that they're out here lying, not just about evidence against Kohberger that they literally pulled out their own asses. Information about Kaylee, stories that they came out and told that screwed up everything when it came to Xana and Ethan's timelines. They're out here telling tales for sympathy. If you were really here for Kaylee and for Xana and for Maddie and for Ethan, you would care when the inconsistencies come out. It's not criticism to ask these people who came out and very publicly asked the public for help to be consistent and honest. Seriously, grow up. Not even playing this game. Grow up.
And I did include the exact verbiage that was given regarding my sister. But I see that there's children present today, so I'm not going to give those exact words. But I will say the mental images created by these words were absolutely horrific. My fear of the unknown was further compounded by intense public interest and a very real possibility that these photos might one day find their way to the internet. I made the decision to request to sit down with prosecutors and investigators so I could at least control something. I wasn't ready and I didn't want to, but I felt that it was the best that I could do. I was with investigators and prosecutors when I saw my sister. Though I've grown to love them very much.
That's so
I truly
crazy.
just wanted privacy with her.
Though I've grown to love
refuse
them
to
very much. Y'all hate them. Y'all complain about Jennings. Y'all complain about Thompson. Y'all complain about the prosecution. Every time y'all talk about this case, you complain about how much they failed. What do you mean you come to love them very much? That is so weird to say.
Cry, and instead I tried to lighten the mood by commenting on how pretty her painted toenails were and how her tanning lotion made it look like maybe she could still be alive. You see, I knew these photos hurt them too, and I didn't want to hurt them anymore. I was shivering, but not because I was cold, and I viewed what only I could manage in the moment without breaking my composure, desperately trying to find a balance and harm reduction for everyone. But if I'm being honest with all of you guys today, all I could really think about was how much I wanted to curl up with her. If they had just called me that day, maybe I could have brought her back to life. How
Do you see how ridiculous she sounds? Do you see how ridiculous she sounds?
all I could really think about was how much I wanted to curl up with her. If they had just called me that day, maybe I could have brought her back to life. How beautiful she was. Now, there was nothing unrecognizable about her. I wanted to tell her how those silly little officers saying those silly little things were mistaken. And truly, if I had not been able to view those photos, all I would have been left with were the mental images created by the words.
Those photos, you mean the only one that you could actually fathom and handle to look at, that you weren't completely honest about whatever it was all these months ago? Was that done on purpose so you could use this later and just elaborate however you needed to without being honest? What do you mean you hope that you wish they would have just called you so you could bring her back to life? Okay, JP Miller, what kind of weird shit is that? What kind of weird shit is that? You're making no sense. You're sitting here being poetic and metaphorical because she's your sister and she's in your heart, and I understand that. But to sit here and do this when we're talking about real physical crime scene photos, when you're sitting here talking about these little silly officers, they're the ones who encountered her being that way. Just the same age as your sister, walking in and encountering how disfigured she was. I don't know if they're silly little officers, silly little cops, silly little boys. While y'all have told us how horrible her injuries were. Do you see how weird this shit is? So was she not disfigured and y'all are out here complaining and lying to us about the marks on her face and all these other things? Or was she completely destroyed because this was one of the most gruesome scenes to have ever been seen? Or was it not? Because that's what you're implying here with your little poetry that you're trying to do. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Like, to say that to these legislative people I wish they would have just called me so I could bring her back to life. These silly little cops and their silly little words. I'm sorry. That's crazy, bro. That is wild.
Were mistaken.
That is crazy.
And truly, if I had not been able to view those photos, all I would have been left with were the mental images created by the words. And I'm not positive how I would be doing today.
See? If I wouldn't have seen the picture, all I would have had left was the mental images from the words. So seeing her with her lacerations in her face and her teeth missing was better for you than just imagining it from the words that were spoken. I would imagine honestly that it would be worse actually seeing her that way. I've said what I needed to say so far. Let me just...
I apologize.
This shit makes no sense.
For this, but thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. Appreciate the testimony. Any questions? Okay. I don't see
Look how
any.
she's looking at her
Thank
daughter.
you, Olivia. Thank you for
Y'all
taking
notice
time
that too?
to share with us.
She's so mad that she had to pick up her kid. Like she's like literally looking at her with daggers in her eyes. Watch her.
And truly, if I had not been able to view those photos, all I would have been left with were the mental images created by the words. And I'm not positive how I would be doing today. I apologize for this, but thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. Appreciate the testimony.
Push the kid
Any
down.
questions?
Look how she's looking at her. Watch her eyes.
Okay. I don't see any. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you for taking time to share with us today. We appreciate it.
Wild stuff. Okay. So this next piece is going to be from 2 days ago where she reads her entire testimony on TikTok. So some of it's going to sound the same, but she's going to also go in there and repeat some of the stuff from the reports while saying that it doesn't match what she saw in the picture. Oh, I can't stand these people. I don't understand why are you doing this? Why are you doing this right now?
My name is Kaylee Goncalves. I stand before you today as the sister of Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogen, murdered together along with Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle in their home on November 13th, 2022 in Moscow, Idaho. I'm not an expert on much, so I won't pretend to be. I'll just be me. I wanted to offer you something personal, a little view into the mechanics of the system as it exists in Idaho as a family member of a homicide victim. Shortly after sentencing, we were told it would be months until anything came out. Documents, photos, filings. We welcome the...
But notice how she's using this little soft voice. We know that's not who she is. She's putting on an act right now. Because she couldn't do this with the crying kid. She couldn't put on this soft voice little act as she told this story. So now she's doing it to her TikTok audience.
Temporary halt on what had already felt like a nonstop assault since November 13th, 2022.
Jackie.
If the loss or the grief or the longing
again, this
doesn't
didn't
beat
change
you
anything.
into exhaustion and submission,
The bodies were already
justice
being
system
redacted.
surely will. We welcomed the end. But that's not really what happened. You see, in my sister's case, a non-dissemination order had been put in place, and once it was lifted, the floodgates opened wide. People waited, but just barely, foaming at the mouth for answers they felt entitled to. So ultimately, I did.
Hold on. Oh no. I just lost her spot.
Sank, my heart rate spiked, and the panic set in. Seeing photos released, they were everywhere all at once.
Okay.
Within an hour, they were unavoidable. I opened my Facebook app not knowing what I was looking at. My stomach sank, my heart rate spiked, and the panic set in. I was the one to call my mom, my dad, and Xana's sister. All I could say was to stay offline and turn off the TV.
Remember, some of
The
this is
damage
going to
was
be
done.
repeated.
They were already being shared far and wide beyond just the taxpayers of the United States.
And isn't that a weird statement to say? They were already being shared far and wide beyond the taxpayers of the United States. It's just a weird comment.
Sister. All I could say was to stay offline and turn off the TV. The damage was done. They were already being shared far and wide beyond just the taxpayers of the United States. It was a sunny Friday afternoon in August, after business hours. There was nothing I could do.
It's like Howard Bloomblum, whatever, or James Patterson helped write this because she puts a lot of descriptive stuff in there. For what? Again, why is this flowery? Why are we being poetic? Why are we being metaphorical? That's not what should be happening here. It's causing issues.
What once might have been a document viewed briefly in a courthouse can now become an endless digital echo, reshared, sensationalized, and weaponized in ways lawmakers decades ago could not have imagined. The internet has fundamentally changed the consequences.
She's blaming us for sensationalizing things when she's sitting here talking about sunny days in August and how that's just my sister. I don't know what these silly little boys are talking about. How do they not see how much damage they do? Insane.
Digital echo, reshared, sensationalized, and weaponized in ways lawmakers decades ago could not have imagined. The internet has fundamentally changed the consequences of releasing sensitive materials, especially images of bodies. I know that's hard to hear.
That hasn't happened in this
but
case.
I need to repeat this.
Because everyone's
Photos of bodies of our loved ones should not be released publicly.
We know that the one with Xana happened, but we also know, again, it was removed because the laws are not allowing that already. That's why this feels so redundant. There's already things in place not letting this happen.
I know you might sit there and think that that would never happen, but the current statute is vague and leaves this open to interpretation of the law, once again placing victims in a position of begging for mercy. Senate Bill 1250 recognizes this reality. It acknowledges that vague language written before the age of instant global dissemination no longer provides adequate protection for victims or their families.
Yeah, the laws
But I want to
do,
be very
because they
clear
say
about
no.
something equally important. Families should not be shut out of access to the truth about their own loved ones.
No one said you should. No one said you should. So if that was the only thing they were out here fighting for, being able to get access to the things that they're supposed to have access to, getting the reports they're supposed to get, being able to get truth about your loved one that's murdered or a victim of any sort of case, awesome. Yes, I agree. No one should ever lose anyone that they have the ability to be some sort of voice for, their parent, their sister, their brother, their child, and be immediate family and be completely closed out of anything and given no answers. That's complete and utter bullshit. We know that. But you're arguing for something that's not happening, which is why I'm so confused.
Victims or their families. But I want to be very clear about something equally important. Families should not be shut out of access to the truth about their own loved ones. I want to share something now that I have still not yet been able to articulate verbally. On July 23rd, 2025, Moscow Police Department released 578 pages of documents.
But she still hasn't been able to articulate verbally while she's reading off of a speech that she did months before this. I didn't hear her say that before.
Not yet been able to articulate verbally. On July 23rd, 2025, Moscow Police Department released 578 pages of documents, including reports from the first officers on scene. Nearly everything within these pages was new information to us. No one told us these things. We didn't know these things. Kaylee was described using the following words and phrases.
All facts.
Kaylee was unrecognizable, as her facial structure was extremely damaged. One female on the left side of the bed, in relation to the bedroom door, had an extreme amount of lacerations to her face and upper body, which made her unrecognizable. One female showed an apparent traumatic injury to her face due to the basic facial structure being unrecognizable. Her face was completely disfigured and was stabbed several times. I was unable to comprehend exactly what I was looking at while trying to discern the nature of the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
The mental images created by these photos, by these words, were horrific. My fear of the unknown was further compounded by intense public interest and a very real possibility these photos might one day make their way to the internet. I made the decision to request a sit down with prosecutors and investigators so I could at least control something. I wasn't ready and I didn't want to, but I prepared the best that I could. I was with investigators and prosecutors when I saw my sister. Though I have grown to love them very much, I truly just wanted privacy with her.
That is still just so freaking weird. What do you mean? While you've grown to love the prosecution so much? How can she just sit there and she's repeating this more than once, like it's truth. No qualms about just putting that hella lie right out there. That's crazy.
I refused to cry and instead tried to lighten the mood by commenting on how pretty her toenails were, her painted toenails were.
Okay, so given the fact that she's describing seeing Kaylee's painted toenails, and we know that she was completely covered up with a blanket, and she's then saying that the portion in this photo that had Maddie was completely redacted, was she shown, this is the only thing I can think of at this point, she must have been shown a picture of the girls on the bed with the blanket removed, seeing all of the injuries, all of the blood, all the pools of blood on the bed, but Maddie was redacted. Because she only saw one photo, she said that herself. So it would have had to have been full body for her to be mentioning her toenails.
I love them very much. I truly just wanted privacy with her. I refused to cry and instead tried to lighten the mood by commenting on how pretty her toenails were, her painted toenails were, how her tanning lotion made it look like maybe she could even still be alive. You see, I know that these photos hurt them too, and I didn't want to hurt them anymore. I was shivering now, but not from the cold, and viewed only what felt I could manage in the moment without breaking my composure.
See, it's too poetic. This isn't real. This doesn't sound like real life. It sounds like you're trying to write it for those things that you keep telling us that we shouldn't be paying attention to. You're making it sound like a Hollywood movie.
Desperately trying to find a balance in harm reduction for us all. But if I'm being honest with you all here, all I could really think about was how much I wanted to curl up with her. If they had just called me when it happened, I could have brought her back to life.
Repeating that twice is a choice.
How beautiful she was, and how it was very much so Kaylee. There was nothing disfigured or unrecognizable to me.
Nothing disfigured or unrecognizable to me, the sister who grew up with her, who knows the curves of her face and her hairline and what she looks like, where I can easily put whatever is there out of my mind and see her. Cool. That's not what this law is about. This law is about physical pictures of people that have been killed, bodies being let out there to the public. And you are out here giving a story that makes it seem as if the police reports are false and that she really wasn't as injured as y'all have been coming out here and trying to tell everybody that she was. How do they not see this problem that they are the problem?
It was just my little sister. As we went through more photos, I would quietly think of how I would comfort her had she lived. That's just a little scratch, Kaylee. With a good surgeon, it won't even scar.
That's just a little scratch, Kaylee.
It will be okay, Kaylee. Veneers have come really far. I'll get them with you even if you want. It's okay, Kaylee. I can fix all of these things. I can fix you. If I'm being honest with all of you here, I just wanted to hold her. I wanted to tell her how loved she was. I wanted to make fun of those silly little officers who wrote those silly little things about her.
Girl, you sound silly as shit right now. That is crazy.
Come really far. I'll get them with you even if you want. It's okay, Kaylee. I can fix all of these things. I can fix you. If I'm being honest with all of you here, I just wanted to hold her. I wanted to tell her how loved she was. I wanted to make fun of those silly little officers who wrote those silly little things about her. They were mistaken. You are not those things.
They were mistaken. All of these officers that walked in and saw how she didn't look human anymore, because this was such a horribly disgusting crime scene, were all mistaken. Somebody needs to do something about this chick. If her husband gave a shit about her, he'd be doing something about this little situation.
It's okay, Kaylee. I can fix all of these things. I can fix you. If I'm being honest with all of you here, I just wanted to hold her. I wanted to tell her how loved she was. I wanted to make fun of those silly little officers who wrote those silly little things about her. They were mistaken. You are not those things, Kaylee. You are just my sister. And I'd recognize you anywhere, no matter what.
See? Why are we being metaphorically poetic? Cool, we know that you would. You're her sister. That has nothing to do with what's happening right now. Like, this is wild. This is insane. This is certifiable. Let's be so serious. I wish that they would have called me because maybe I could have brought you back to life. That one right there struck me like, what the shit?
I remember thinking I violently needed to know that the officers and medical staff spoke kindly to her, that they told her that she was okay now, that they were gentle with her, that they took care of her like she was their own sister.
She's dead, Alivea. Why would the medical staff and the coroners and the medical examiners and the police talk to her and tell her that she's okay now, Alivea? Why are you saying all this crazy shit, Alivea?
You are not those things, Kaylee. You are just my sister, and I'd recognize you anywhere, no matter what.
This is so weird.
I remember thinking I violently needed to know that the officers and medical staff spoke kindly to her, that they told her that she was okay now, that they were gentle with her, that they took care of her like she was their own sister. Because what if she was your sister? Those mental images still exist. I can see them now even, but I now know that they don't carry any weight. There is no truth to them.
The images that I got from the damn police reports are still in my mind, but now that I've seen some redacted ass photo, just the one that I could handle, I know now that all of those reports are lies. But we don't want you to know that. So we're going to also put a law out there that doesn't let you see the bodies, so that while I'm telling you that the officers are freaking lying out all of their asses, I'm also going to tell you, nanny, nanny, boo, boo, you can't see this. Are y'all understanding what's happening here? Like, they're teasing that there's an issue and a problem while saying, too bad, we're not going to let you figure it out. I hate this case. I hate this case.
Only fear. I don't know how I would be coping today without that distinction. I'm not a spectator.
I don't know how I would be coping today without that distinction. Again, further doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the fact that the reports and the damn photos of the dead bodies don't match. What are you doing, Alivea? What are you doing, Alivea? That's insane.
I am not an outsider. I will carry Kaylee and Maddie with me forever, here on Earth and for whatever comes after. Protecting sensitive materials from public exploitation while preserving appropriate access for families is not contradictory. It is a compassionate balance. It says that Idaho understands two truths at once, that technology has tipped the scale of harm, and that families should never become collateral damage in the effort to protect it.
Stop lying,
to prevent
man.
it.
You're making yourselves collateral
I
damage.
speak today not only for my sisters, but for families who will walk into courtrooms years from now, families who don't yet know their lives will change overnight. They deserve laws that anticipate their needs, that reduce harm, and that reflect compassion alongside accountability. We cannot rewrite what has already happened, but we can decide what happens next and who the system is built to serve. Senate Bill 1250 does exactly that. I respectfully urge your support. Thank you.
Just crazy. Like, actually freaking crazy. Okay, so that was on the 26th, I believe, because when I looked at her TikTok page and when I went incognito to look at the Facebook page, because some of you guys sent me the screenshot, but I wanted to like make sure they didn't put anything on there that I missed and make sure that the timing was accurate. So when I took the screenshot today, it said 2 days ago. I think it's actually the next thing that pops up right here. Okay, right here. It says 2 days ago, which would have been the 26th, because today is the 28th. I don't know who is the majority poster on this damn page. I have been under the understanding for the majority, most things that you see on here are Christy. I guess it could be Alivea too. I don't really know. But I know that when Christy goes in and she comments on stuff, she does a lot of this capitalization shit. So I don't know who this is. But this was their response for getting this bill passed. Immature as shit, okay? We just got some great news. For months now, Alivea has been working hard on Senate Bill 1250 for months now, but Steve thought it was 1135, but go on. She has testified twice and has been to several meetings. Now, I only know of the one that I showed you and now the one that's on TikTok, which is the exact same speech. So if she testified twice, she's just repeating the same shit over and over again. But okay. today, which was 2 days ago, Idaho Governor Brad Little called Alivea and told her that he was signing Bill 1250. It would become law on July 1st, 2026. So what this means is that photos of decedents' bodies will never be released to the public. It is no longer part of being public record, and it cannot be FOIA'd. Families and family only may request these photos. And then one of her, of course, it's FYP because they have to have all of the attention, right? But then one of the freaking hashtags is sad day for trolls because they're immature little children. Pathetic. But okay, again, a redundant rule that it didn't have a damn thing to do with anything that was going on here. Now, what's going to play next is the interview that Alivea and Steve did with Jesse Weber. This interview gets on my ever-loving nerves because Steve sits there and admits that he's just on the sidelines and he doesn't know much about anything. And we already know that he just told Jesse Weber 2 months ago the wrong bill. But you know Jesse Weber's too stupid to even ask the right questions and ask, well, what happened with 1135? What did you mean when you told me about that a couple months ago, Steve? What happened with that? Of course, there's no questions. He just wants to sit there and act like it's high noon tea, and they're just having a nice little conversation. I can't stand Jesse Weber and his damn Johnny Bravo hair.
Governor called you personally, right? What did he say?
He just said, you know, he was really happy to be able to start enacting this change. And, you know, it was long overdue, not personally for this case, but just for victims' rights in general in Idaho and, you know, other states.
I think it has ramifications for other states, particularly, I mean, unfortunately to say this because it doesn't.
She's like dead inside. Look at her eyes. That, I mean, I'm not accusing her of like being on things, but like, what is up with her? This is going past Ozempic. It's turning into like the Kelly Osbourne situation. How like something's cognitively not okay, the more weight that you see goes away, the less alive the eyes look. I understand she lost her sister, but this is like, there's something else happening here, in my opinion. Look at her. She doesn't even look awake. She doesn't even look like she's present.
The high profile nature of this. I think this is a wake up call. Steve, just to be clear, what exactly does this law limit from the public record? How does it work?
As I understand it, this is mainly Olivia's bill that she's been working on, and I've been on the sidelines for this one. But it protects crime scene, the gory body. You know, it protects that. It basically says it's still going to be used in the court of law and all that. It's just not something that gets released to the general public. Freedom of Information Act. There's certain things that are just not evidence, and that's kind of what we're taking. I mean, we didn't even have a court case. It was a plea. So we see that this is something that is
yeah,
common courtesy for a family that might do something like this. We don't drag us through this.
And Olivia, to be clear, if a family wants to request the photos for whatever reason, they could still, but is there some limitations to that?
Shouldn't be, in my opinion.
So it goes with the hierarchy. So it's surviving spouse, adult children, parents, siblings, grandparents, and it has to go in that order. They can't jump the line, but there's no limitations on, you know, getting access to those records.
Olivia, were you getting pushback? Was anybody saying, I don't agree with this, I think this is a problem? Because I imagine the argument would be, critics would say, hey, listen, the public, news, we have a right, public access to all details about this case, no matter what it is. Were you receiving that kind of pushback? And what would you say to critics who say that?
Yeah, so I actually have to give credit to Senator Wintrow. She worked amazingly hand in hand with the press actually to make this a very smooth transition and to make it so that this isn't about a lack of transparency. This is about protecting dignity. And for those who would have a problem with this very uncontroversial bill, I would say that maybe you should just reconsider why you feel entitled to view photos taken during a death investigation of a dead body.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say right now, I didn't want to. I'm one of the few people out here that I've already said, as much as I am curious, and again, I have a degree and half the next step of my degree in this. This is what I would have been doing with my life if things wouldn't have gone stupid. That being said, I still don't want to sit there and see the photos of these wounds with how they've been described and how horrible it is. Would I, if they were released officially? Probably. Would I show them on my channel? Heck no. No, I would not. Even with what happened with Xana and just knowing that it was her and just seeing the side of her face and her arm, I did not put that up here. I would handle it the exact same way that I have handled that situation. Give y'all access as long as it was public access and it wasn't like some sort of crazy ass stupid leak. And then we discuss. That I don't have a problem with. But now that you're coming out here and telling us that the damn reports don't match what Kaylee's pictures look like, now I want to see them. Because now you're telling us someone's lying. But you're going to want everyone to believe that it's the police and expect people to just keep cheering you on as you are demanding transparency and truth and for more accountability and complaining how this case went wrong. But, oh, again, we're not going to let you see anything. We're going to fight so that the public can't see all of the corruption and all these things that are incorrect. But we're going to keep telling you all these things are incorrect. And it's just going to have to be a trust me, bro situation because you can't see the facts. This has got to be like actually the Truman Show with this situation. Because what the hell kind of contradictorial bullshit is that? So now I guarantee you, there are more people now that want to see those photos than there were before Alivea came out running her mouth. Because she's making it sound like everything was a lie. Even more than it was. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. You weigh what would be the value of that, right? The public's access to knowledge about our criminal justice system or a case versus what exactly you're asking for. Steve, I want to bring it back to your experience, your family's experience. For people who don't know, why was this so important to you? What happened? What did you go through that you thought it was important for you and Alivea to go through with this and push for this? What happened with your family with respect to this case?
Home Dude did not even hear the fact that Steve just said that he was on the sidelines for this entire thing. So now he's putting all of this responsibility on Steve having a huge part in this when Steve had the damn bill number wrong and already said he was on the sidelines, didn't do shit. But now Steve is going to come up with an answer out of his ass after just saying that he didn't have nothing to do with it. Watch this great improv.
Well, there was times where we weren't sure who was defending us and who we were going after. And we reached out to our legislators and we just thought to ourselves, we got to make it better than this. The system shouldn't be set up in a way that a family has to go through so many attacks from so many different angles. And we found some people that really did want to help. And they want to work with people. And it really worked out. And
Steve, apologize. There's a little bit of ambient noise. We're going to try to work that out on your end. Alivea.
He didn't do anything. He stood on the sidelines. He didn't do anything. And again, this rule does not stop crime scene photos from coming out. This doesn't stop the fact that we've seen all of the spatter everywhere. This doesn't stop any of that. This literally doesn't change anything that's going on in this case. I'm
going to toss it back to you. Two questions for you. Are you now going to try to advocate and push for this in other states like we talked about? And B, is this very difficult for you to be a part of, right? This is an incredibly difficult chapter in your whole family's lives. And yet pushing for this, I wonder if it brings up the trauma, brings up the hard memories of what happened.
Of course it does, Jesse. See, that's another reason I hate these stupid ass interviewers. Why do they always have to try to pull up some sort of emotional response just for views? Like, people act like people out here in true crime on YouTube are so horrible. We're not sitting here trying to get them to cry on freaking camera. We're not saying, tell me about how it felt and what was that like? Like, why do you want to constantly, Nancy Grace is such an asshole for it, constantly trying to get them to bring up a memory and get emotional on camera. But these are the people that get all the kudos, the ones that do this dumb shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer your first question, I would love for this to be adopted in any state that doesn't currently have protections over decedents' bodies. Some states do, but most do not. And I would say to the legislators of those states, if it can pass in conservative Idaho unanimously, it can pass in your home state too. And I would also say, on a case like this, it's better to be proactive than reactive. And it's better to try to reduce the harm before the harm has happened. And then to answer your second question, yeah, it's always really, really hard to, I think testifying is the hardest part. When you're really trying to help people understand the importance of specifically why families should have access to these photos. That's mainly the hard sticking point.
So then why is that not your fight? Why is that not your entire freaking testimony about how y'all were lied to, about how information was kept from you? Why are you instead coming out here and being poetic and telling us that these silly little police, these silly little boys had it wrong in their police report? You looked perfect, Kaylee. Not a problem. What are you doing? That should have been your entire speech, was how lost you were. The fact that y'all had to rewrite your impact statements the day that you were supposed to face Kohberger in court. Why isn't that the argument then? Because that is part of the bill. We're going to go over the bill here in a minute. I have it, and I have it all highlighted, what we're going to go over that was included with this, because this section about photos of the bodies is literally number 24 at the very end of the bill. There is a portion in there about families getting access. Why is that the majority of their fight? Why is that not what they're talking about the most? That has been their public fight for years, not getting information as the family. So why is that not what their main argument is in these testimonials? This is the most backwards shit.
And it's difficult to remember seeing my sister and the feelings that happened. And it's always difficult. And I think it's always going to be, but it's worth it when maybe I can avoid this happening to the next family.
That's a good point. By the way, Alivea, how are you doing? How are you doing right now? How are you in the family?
It's worth it when I can avoid this happening to the next family. But you only saw a picture of Kaylee because you went to the prosecutor's office and freaking asked to. Not because a picture of Kaylee got publicly released. See how that statement didn't make sense either?
Doing.
Oh man, my favorite question. We're all doing fairly well. Yeah. New beginnings, fresh starts. We're all doing well.
Steve, I want to turn it over to you. I don't care if you're echoing or not. I want to still hear from you. How are you doing? What does this mean?
Steven's
the fact that this is now moving forward. Talk to us about it.
Can you hear me?
I think he froze. It was the question. He didn't want to answer the question. It's okay. Olivia, I'm going to go back to you on this. Again, I know this is an incredibly difficult moment, but I think that this is a very powerful moment. And I'm curious if you've received, again, from other victims' family members who have gone through this, have you received any support for what you're doing?
Yeah, I think that members of this community, it's a group that no one wants to be a part of, and somehow we all kind of conglomerate together. And for example, someone who worked on this bill, Alan Hodges, he lost his daughter to a seizure. It still was a death investigation, so an accidental. I had a long talk with him today, and it's just it's sad how many overlaps there are in these gaps. But it's nice to know that, we aren't alone. But sometimes this road feels really, really lonely.
Well, I know you have a lot of support nonetheless, and you're doing important work. So Alivea and Steve, you're out there. Steve and Alivea, thank you both so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Again. And I'm going to make something and put it on Twitter on TikTok, where I know she is. And I'm sure that somebody's probably already sent a clip over because I'm complaining, because I know that they have all their little weirdos over here watching what I have to say, just ready to send them links, baby. Well, go ahead and send them. Maybe we get some answers. You damn little immature weirdos. Okay, so now we're going to look at the bill itself. I also have it in the Google Drive, and I'm going to give you the link to it in the Google Drive. I put it at the top of the page. But let me give it to you again. Now, this is the one with my highlights. If you want one that does not have my highlights, then go to Google and type in Bill 1250. There's like a website that has them all on there. I don't have it pulled up right here at this very point in time, but you can go and get it for free on like this legislative website or whatever. But I'm going to give you this one because this is the one that I'm going over right now. And here is the link. Right there. Okay. And let me get this bigger. Yeah, nothing changes here, but I did find something interesting that looks like it was slipped in a little bit. Maybe not like slipped in, but it seems interesting that there's not more about this like stuff being talked about in way of what else was included in this bill. Because there is something about like attorney-client privilege stuff that's been added. But not everything in this bill is about the criminal law stuff either. Some of this is about like the fraud departments and workers' comp and people not being able to get information on prison infrastructure, stuff like that. Stuff like that. So I wanted to just go through the little highlights to show you what else was actually included in this. Oh, thank you for the gifted membership, Becca. Thank you. I appreciate that. Congratulations to whoever got that. We do have our, hey, SMC, how you doing? Thank you for coming into the chat today. We do have our members only live on Monday. Just so you know. Just so you know. Okay. So this is the bill itself. This is Bill 1250. This is the things that are being considered exempt from disclosure. Investigatory records of a law enforcement agency as defined in Section 74-1017. That is a law that they have constantly told us every time we file a FOIA when it comes to like work product and things like that. I don't really think it goes too much further than that because we've gotten evidence, we've gotten police reports, and like nothing here has changed. It's all the same when it comes to that section. Juvenile records, duh, we know that. Stuff for minors is always kept away. Records of the Custody Review Board of the Idaho Department of Juvenile Corrections and stuff that has to do with juveniles. More stuff when it comes to minors. Records other than public expenditure records related to proposed or existing critical infrastructure held by or in the custody of any public agency only when the disclosure of such information is reasonably likely to jeopardize the safety of persons, property, or public safety. And it's talking about emergency evacuations, escapes, and other things. Basically, like you can't have blueprints of the prison because you could try to help somebody get out, and that's just not going to happen. Records of the Idaho Commission of Pardons and Parole shall be exempt from public disclosure. Voting records for formal S offenders classification board. Records of the sheriff or Idaho State Police received or maintained pursuant to Section 183302 H and K Idaho Code relating to an applicant or licensee, except that any law enforcement officer and law enforcement agency, whether inside or outside the state of Idaho, may access information maintained in the license record system as set forth in Section 183302K. Records of investigations prepared by the Department of Health and Welfare pursuant to its statutory responsibilities dealing with the protection of children, the rehabilitation of youth, adoptions, and the commitment of mentally ill persons. Number 8 is records, including but not limited to investigative reports resulting from investigations conducted into complaints of discrimination made to the Idaho Human Rights Commission. Records containing information obtained by the manager of the Idaho State Insurance Fund pursuant to Chapter 9, Title 72. The workers' compensation records of the Idaho Industrial Commission, and it goes on about more workers' comp stuff. Records of investigations compiled by the Commission on Aging involving vulnerable adults as defined in Section 18-1505. Criminal history records and fingerprints as defined in Section 673001. Which also doesn't really make sense unless there is like a stipulation, which is like in accordance with Chapter 30, Title 67, because we do have fingerprints and those things of the victims, and I believe Kohbergers were also released. So we've seen stuff. Maybe I don't know. I don't really know if that's going to change anything or not. But we already have that stuff. I don't think it does. But okay. Records furnished or obtained pursuant to Section 41-1019 regarding termination of an appointment, employment, contract, or other insurance business relationship between an insurer and a producer. Records of a prisoner or former prisoner in the custody of any state or local correction facility when the request is from another prisoner also in custody. So someone in some jail cannot request information about Kohberger while he's also in jail. Like, prisoners cannot ask for stuff about other prisoners. And then it says, except as provided under 17-1007, records of the Idaho Industrial Commission relating to compensation for crime victims. So we've already seen that information too. When it comes to the crime victims compensation that was given to the families, we've already seen all those documents. They're in the court record. Records or information identifying a complainant maintained by the Department of Health and Welfare for certified family homes. I don't know what that means unless that's like people that have been given like the pass to be foster parents maybe, or like adopters. I don't really know what that verbiage is for. Okay. Records of any certification or notification required by federal law to be made in connection with the acquisition or transfer of a firearm. This one was interesting right here. Records of the Office of the State Public Defender and the Office of the State Appellate Public Defender containing information protected or exempted from disclosure under the rules adopted by the Idaho Supreme Court. Attorney worked product, attorney-client privileged communication, records containing confidential information from an individual about his criminal case or performance of his attorney, or confidential information about an inquiry into the attorney's fitness to represent indigent defendants. So does that mean that we're not going to be able to ask any information about Ann Taylor? Or does that just mean that like the person that's being publicly defended can't access this stuff? Like, this one's interesting because it's just like, what are they trying to say that we can't have here? Just basically the records of the public defender's office in general when it comes to how they handled a case. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Don't know if I like that very much. Thank you for the gifted membership, Lori. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining, Sarah. $9.99. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I need a lawyer to explain this one to me. That right there. I really, really do. Because I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's like we can't ask for records about Ann Taylor because she was technically a public defender or what that is. So I'm going to find out. I'm going to get some information. It caught my attention. Okay, the next one, number 19, records and information received by the Office of the State Controller from any local government, state agency, and department or volunteer non-governmental entity for purposes of entry into the criminal justice integrated data system. And all records created by persons authorized to search and analyze information entered into the criminal justice integrated data system, regardless of whether such records were previously exempted from disclosure or redacted pursuant to state or federal laws or court order. See, I don't know. This one might also have something to do with something. So I need them to also answer me number 19. Okay, number 20 is records that contain any identifying information when it comes to someone who helped execute a death sentence, so the executioner. Records other than public expenditure records relating to the nature, location, or function of cybersecurity devices, programs, or systems designed to protect computer, information technology, or communication systems against terrorist or other attacks. Any index, report, or records of any person arrested for, prosecuted for, or convicted of a crime in this state who has successfully petitioned a court to have his record shielded from disclosure. So that's pretty much like a duh, that if you get your record expunged somehow, or I guess you can have it like gagged where people can't find it. If you were getting it sealed off to where people can't get it, it would just kind of make sense that none of the records that prove that you shielded it should be accessible. Like, doesn't that kind of just like come hand in hand? I feel like that comes hand in hand. 23, any record of an unlawful detainer under section 6303. I'm guessing, I don't know what that means. What is an unlawful detainer? Because like a detainee is like a person that's arrested. So is that like an officer? An unlawful detainer is a legal action a landlord files in court to regain possession of a rental property. Okay. That's what Google said. Okay, so here's where this one finally comes into play. Number 24. And it's highlighted. Maybe it's because of the website I got it off of, but it's underlined at least. I did the highlighting. It's underlined. 24. Any photographs or images of a decedent taken as part of a coroner death investigation. Coroner, Mabbit, the loser who had nothing to do with anything and talked about booties being souvenirs. The real photographs are going to be from the Spokane medical examiner's office, and that's way, way above Mabbit's pay grade. Way above her credentials. So again, coroner doesn't really mean a lot here. Or law enforcement investigation, regardless of whether such investigation is active or not. However, such photographs or images may be disclosed upon the request to a decedent's next of kin once the coroner death investigation, law enforcement investigation, and criminal case, including all appeals and all civil proceedings related to the criminal case, are no longer active. As used in this subsection, next of kin means the closest living relative in the order of spouse, she wasn't married, adult children, she had no kids, parents, Steve and Christy, siblings, Alivea, Steve Jr., on and on and on, Samantha included, and then grandparents. And then it says, there is an emergency existing, therefore, which emergency is hereby declared to exist. This act shall be in full force and effect on July 1st, 2026. Not sure what the emergency was or if that's just normal verbiage, but there it is. Again, I don't really quite understand what their point was in joining this fight when they should have been arguing the whole time about not being able to get information. But even this, everything that we just read, doesn't have anything to do with making sure that the families get the information. All it says is that if they want photos of the bodies, that they can request it, and then it gives the hierarchy in which they can be requested. Nothing Alivea said made like a lot of sense. At all. At all. And then on top of it, she's again trying to put this verbiage out there that all of these police reports about how damaged Kaylee's face was, even after her, Christy, and Steve have all come out here and told us how horribly injured Kaylee was. She's sitting out here saying, now all of those, the mental images is still there, but now I can cope because I've seen the actual photo. And those silly little police officers and those silly little boys and their silly little words. You're making it sound as if the reports are incorrect and Kaylee wasn't as destroyed as y'all yourselves have come out here and told us that she was. Why? Why? I mean, how are people like me and you guys who actually care about facts the bad guys for asking them to be honest and consistent, to stop being flip-floppy, to tell us the truth? Did you see just one picture that had Maddie redacted and that was it because you couldn't stomach anymore, even though they offered? Or did you see more? Was there another time that you went to go meet with the prosecutor that you've been really hella quiet about for some reason, and you're using that experience that we know nothing about to classify everything that you're saying? Like, I don't understand. Why would you say the reports were wrong? And that once you saw the actual photo of Kaylee, you realized how wrong the reports were, while telling us that whoever did this was so angered and so just full of rage that they could have killed her with her cranial injuries alone. It can't be both. Like, which is it? I don't get it. I don't even know if they have. Because the last time that they've mentioned that thumb drive was an interview that Christy and Steve did. I think what on the interview room? Was it interview room? I can't even remember. I think it was the interview room. Or was it Nancy Grace? I think it was Nancy Grace. 20 pages on a thumb drive? That should have taken you less than an hour. You sat there and had to rewrite all of your impact statements because you realized that morning everything that you knew was wrong. And that doesn't prompt you to sit down the second you get home and pop that damn thing in there and start reading? I would have been so angry that I probably would have borrowed the nearest laptop and plugged that damn thing in and gone through it right then and there. What do you mean? What do you mean? So I don't know. We still don't know to this day if they've looked at those 20 pages. But how dare you have 20 pages of facts, bother to not bother. Literally, you bothered to not bother and then be mad at us because we want the documents. You came out here demanding that the public help you. You came out here and you put out all your GoFundMes and got hundreds of thousands of dollars from the public based off of what happened to not just you, but the other 3 families as well. And then you come out here and tell us that the photos and the reports don't match while you're telling us that you don't want us to see the truth. How are we supposed to be supportive of a family like that? How can you just look past all of that and be like, oh, well, they lost someone, so it's okay? No, it's not fair to Kaylee. It's not fair to Kaylee that they come out here constantly telling tales and being dishonest. That's not fair to her. And when they come out here and they tell others things that messes up Maddie's timeline and her story, that mess up Xana and Ethan's timeline and their story, no one should be okay with any of this. You can feel bad for the fact that Alivea lost her sister. You can feel bad for the fact that Steve and Christy lost their daughter and still be like, what in the actual shit are y'all out here doing this for? What is wrong with you? If I was out here just telling lies constantly, I would want to be told, hey, something's happening here. You're coming out here and you're saying all kinds of things that we can go back and find proof that that's false. It's been 3.5 years now. When are you going to stop? It's becoming a problem. You're doing this constantly. When is enough going to be enough? I just don't understand the mentality, I guess, of feeling the need to come out here and over-exaggerate truth when it's already freaking horrid. It's already as bad as it can get. So then when you're as bad as it can get is now coming out and we're hearing, oh, but how horrible it was described wasn't true after all, after I saw the picture? What? I just don't know how they all didn't collectively realize that she shouldn't have said that. Because we know that it's not true. We know that she was destroyed. Even in what Alivea says, she talks about her teeth. We know how bad the injuries were. So I don't know why she's doing, I just don't know. That's why I'm repeating myself so much, because I don't understand the point. All these years later, and I'm still just kind of like floored every time something like this happens, because I don't understand the mentality. Because it's not like Christy hadn't heard this speech, or Steve hadn't heard this speech, or Olivia's husband hasn't heard this speech, or some of the other victims' family members haven't heard this speech, and none of them are being like, what do you mean the report and the pictures were different? What you talking about? Why are you saying that? I just don't get it. That's just causing problems. It's really annoying. I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so, because part 2 is probably going to end up becoming part 3, even though it came out first, because of how I need to email him and ask him how that's working. Because there's some hours in between and then hours after. So the one that we've already seen, based off of the timeline and the reports that we have, would be Xana and Ethan being removed. Because Jay Waters shows up during that scene and he's the one that accompanies them to the funeral home. So then there should be one in between part 1 and part 2. And then we should still have a part 4 that should be coming out that shows when Maddie and Kaylee were taken out. Because that's when Blaker then leaves and escorts and goes with them to the funeral home. So yeah, there's like 2 sections still missing, and it should technically be all 4 parts, but also other officers too, because We have Jay Waters that shows up. There's a few other ones that go in and out of that section. I just know for sure Jay Waters is the one that goes with Xana and Ethan's bodies, and then Blaker also ends up going with Maddie and Kaylee on the second round. So there's that. That's why the whole like thing that they talked about in the video and people just like running with what they said about the possibility of somebody being left in there overnight, knowing that we have the reports and that there's still footage missing, that was crazy to me. And there's some channels that I was really quite surprised took that and like lost their memory on the things that we already have and what's missing and just like ran with that being the definite, knowing that there's missing information. And again, a report that shows otherwise. I don't know why people like the insanity instead of the facts. It's just crazy. More bourbon. Some bourbon sounds beautiful right about now. This shit's crazy. Thank you for the $4.99, Green Girl. Thank you for the $6.99. Animals are our angels. I appreciate that. And thank you for the 5 again, Lori. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, you guys. I mean, that's honestly like how I would assume that the description that we're getting is not going to be the full magnitude of how bad it is. So when she comes out here saying the complete opposite, that's crazy. That's crazy. Why? Why would you come out here saying that when there's already so many lies and inconsistencies and incorrect information? Why would you start something that's not true? Why? And again, she's telling us while fighting for photos to not be released, that these photos they don't want released would prove that these reports are incorrect. That's how Alivea is putting it out there. It's just the most hypocritical, contradictorial bullshit. And I don't understand it other than the fact that they felt the need to still be the center of attention. Because maybe this WSU lawsuit's not giving them enough attention. A lot of people really don't care. I mean, I'm invested. I'm glad that the joint filing was put in there and nothing's going to be moved. Because if they would have moved it, then a lot of this stuff would have been irrelevant and the majority of the case would have been ixnayed. And I want people to go up on the stand. I want this jury thing to happen. I want to hear from these WSU people. I want to see the facts. So I'm glad that one ended up the way that it ended up. But not a lot of people are talking about that. I mean, honestly, until there's a jury date set, I don't even know if mainstream's going to give two shits. And I don't know how it's going to be handled either. Like, are people going to be able to go in? Is it going to be live streamed, or are we going to have to get like a play-by-play after like the day's over and people give us a recap? Like, how's that going to work? I guess we'll figure it out soon enough. Soon enough. Thank you for the 20, Hogless 930. I appreciate that so much. Thanks for the $4.99, Jeep Girl. Crazy ass case. I just don't understand. I just don't understand. You're so dumb. Like, you're literally dumb. How is it bullying to ask her to be honest? Missing with the bullshit and go cry into your pillow. Can't sue me for speaking facts. I literally am playing her own words, you stupid moron. I am playing Alivea's own words and asking questions on her own words. See how y'all come over here and you're stupid? You're so low IQ that you think people having opinions on facts is sue-worthy. Well, in what is it that the surprise witness says? Facts aren't defamation. There's a reason why I can come out here and talk about the conversation that Steve Goncalves had with Brett Norton and all the information he has and all the things he said about Brent Kopaka and Dylan and Bethany, and no one does anything because it's facts. If you don't like it, go ask them why they're lying. Put me out of a job by going and clearing it all up. Go run. Fetch now. Go get your answers. Bullying. You sound stupid. You sound dumb. And get the F out of my chat. Go over there and kiss their asses. See what Dr. Peptide has to offer you. Little weirdo. Little weirdo. Not just that. Not just that. They came out here to the public ASAP. They set up that page. They set up that GoFundMe. They had to be the center of attention on every mainstream media freaking channel for months, saying everything they wanted to say about not just Kaylee, about Maddie too, about Xana and Ethan, about a door being closed and Ethan's body being behind the door, and all these lies. That all came from them. And they've yet to come out here and take responsibility. And they can't say again that the state is the reason why they're all screwed up. Because they've also claimed the entire time, and even the messages between Steve and Brett Norton claim it, by the grand jury date, the families weren't being told shit about shit. The state was done talking to them because they didn't know how to behave like normal humans. So no, they weren't lied to. They lied to themselves. They went out with incorrect and unofficial information and got all of their answers that they then spewed the lies full of all over the internet from unofficial information, and then got mad that nothing that they knew was right. That's their fault. Out of their own mouths. Can't sue me for that. That's their fault. All we're asking is for them to stop lying. It's bullying to ask somebody to be honest. Weird take. I really feel sorry for your real life here. That's crazy. That's wild. That's wild. That part too. They said Home Dude was building a bomb, that he was a cannibal, that he had all these all these issues, all these things. They came out and said some crazy shit. Crazy shit. Steve even had to get reprimanded by a judge. You know who else had to get reprimanded by a judge before? My narcissistic, abusive ass ex had to get yelled at by a judge like a dumb little boy who couldn't keep his freaking hands to himself, couldn't keep his mouth shut. Dr. Peptide over there being stupid. Miss me with the bullshit. If you don't want me bullying, then don't watch. Then you won't have to hear it. How dumb. 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 Yeah, exactly. That right there. If they were boys, they would not have been just allowed to hang out in front of the dumpsters and go spend the night at a hotel. That's for sure. Yeah, they did all of that. They came out here lying about everything, telling false information, but then get 20 pages worth of facts given to them on a USB, and months later tell us they haven't even read it. I'm sorry? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, I'm just getting off. Oh, no, you're done. I'm done. You're going to have to go all the way back to the beginning. I'm getting off of here right now. We've been live for about an hour and 40. About an hour and 40. Yeah, I'm just yelling at an idiot. As you know, I want to do sometimes. Because idiots are fun. Especially when they don't know the difference between something that's a lie that's actually suable, what defamation is. It's not hard. Somebody needs to love these people enough to give them a dictionary or some shit. It's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, I'm bullying you because you're a dumbass. And you're still here. So thanks for everything that you do for the channel, because you realize the more that you complain and interact, the more that it gets its reach out into the algorithm, right? So go ahead and keep complaining, baby. It does, doesn't it? It probably is, honestly. I wanted to, I'm not even kidding. I wanted to make a clip channel that was literally just me during a live when I've had to say something to some idiot. I think it's funny because they're always wrong. They're always wrong. Like, to say that I'm bullying is one thing, but then to say, I hope they sue you. Well, that's where you've proven to me that you're stupid. I'm so dumb. And that's exactly it. We want the facts. We want the evidence. We want the facts. We want the truth. We don't want to be lied to. We don't want to be manipulated. We don't want to be emotionally manipulated. And that's what Alivea does. That's what Steve Goncalves does. Steve Goncalves did that during the beginning of the plea when he came out here talking about how Bryan was going to point fingers at a veteran. And he knew that everyone was going to instantly think Brent Kopaka. And he used that. They even put that on their Facebook page. No, the 4 alternate perpetrators were people that were going to be called to the stand, and Kopaka's dead. He can't be called to the stand. But he knew what he was doing. When he put the words out there, the way he put the words out there, knowing everything was sealed up, he knew what he was doing. And the sad, pathetic part about that is that in the messages between him and Brett Norton, he's calling Brent Kopaka a loser. But then used his lore in this case for emotional manipulation. Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Wonder how many more selfies they're going to take together. That's crazy. That's crazy. By me telling her that by me saying that she looks unhealthy, I literally say she's a gorgeous girl, but there's something wrong here. How's that making fun of her look? See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is that she doesn't look well. Tell me that looks healthy. Does she look healthy to you? Do her eyes look healthy to you? How is that making fun of her looks? That's showing concern. I mean, English must be difficult for people. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I understand that she's grieving. I understand she's grieving. But somebody should have stepped in by now and been like, girl, something's not okay here. You don't look healthy. They're all gorgeous. I've said that 1,000 freaking times. As shitty as Steve and Christy are, they make pretty kids. Look at how beautiful all of their girls are. Look at Samantha even. And that's not even Christy's kid. That's a whole nother baby mama. And she's pretty as shit too. But Alivea looks like she's sick. And if that's making fun of them, then I don't know what to tell you. Dr. Peptide is his Venmo name. See, maybe if you knew facts, you would realize that I'm not making fun of him by saying Dr. Peptide. That's literally the name on his Venmo account. Okay? Okay. Exactly. Look at that. So you're wrong again. Love it. Love it. See, and then this is so stupid. This same dumbass who's saying that I'm out here bullying is now saying that me being concerned for Alivea because she looks unhealthy isn't our problem. It's only her family's. What is your stupid, pathetic ass here for? So you don't care that she could like croak at any minute because she looks so freaking anorexic and unhealthy, but you're here to tell me that I'm the bad guy? Please don't reproduce. Please don't reproduce. I think he's done that before. I'm pretty sure he's done that before. Pretty positive. Well, welcome. I promise it's not usually like this. Probably like a good once a month. I find some dumbass in here that I have to go off on. But it's fine. It's fine. None that I know of. None that I know of. Yeah, he has sued himself. He sued his mama. And now he's running his mouth. I can sue all these YouTubers. It's so fun to watch them go in and out of court where you can't sue people for facts, baby. And me reading a police report where you look like a piece of shit isn't a suable offense. I'm just saying. We're going to be doing an update on that too. Because there's some stuff in that one. Yeah. Somebody needs to say something to her. Somebody needs to say something to her because she does not look healthy. She's going to end up in the hospital with an IV stuck into her arm, giving her nutrients because she can barely move. Like, I understand that she was pregnant when we first were introduced to her, but this has gone beyond. And we also know that she's had issues in the past. The majority of everyone in this chat knows not long after the crimes, she was arrested for DV. The police report literally even says her mother told her not to call the police after this incident between her and her husband after one of the kindness galas. The 911 call from Alivea is out there. The police report's out there. The police report says there's body cam. I don't care to show it, but it's out there. It's factual. There's more issues here. Okay. So me saying that she doesn't look healthy is putting it lightly. I know how dishonest these people are. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat shit when the truth for Kaylee, whose life was the one lost, is still being hidden by people who can't be honest with themselves or the public. So let's be so serious. Let's be so serious. Yeah, and I wish that she would get it together because she does not look like she can barely even like pick up her kids without looking angry. Y'all saw her face. Maybe she'll get it together eventually. Didn't know. Oh, yeah. No, yeah, it happened. There's channels out there that have talked about it. I don't know if they've played the 911 call. I have the 911 call. It was sent to me. I've had the report for a long time, but I had the report resent to me again not long ago. But there's channels out there that do have it. And I mean, I think if I was a bully, I would have put that out here and made money off of that live stream. Dumbasses. They blocked you and you've never commented on their post. Do you follow me on Facebook? That's probably why. Probably why. That's the part I don't understand. And like, I get that like when we come out here, we're getting paid by Google. So when we get our paycheck, it doesn't come from YouTube. It comes from AdSense, which is all conglomerately owned by Google. Now, because it's like a self-employment thing, I understand them not doing background checks or really like paying attention at all to that kind of thing, but there should be a stipulation. I think that once you get past 100,000 subscribers, there should be some sort of check. Because how many people come out after getting to a certain amount, especially in like the gaming world, the gaming world, and they're losers. They're pedos. They got all this black history in their freaking computers of going and talking to minors and all kind of crazy shit and being horrible. People that they beat up people on live stream and then they end up talking about whatever they want to online and no punishments ever happen. Once you get past a certain following, I think it should be handled differently. And people will probably be like, oh, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't have a problem. I don't have a background. I'm clean to go. But if you get past a certain amount and you become somebody who's getting a plaque from YouTube and you're carrying that around and it's in the back of your damn page, you should have to go through checks. And if you've been guilty of DV or some sort of assault or you're violent or you have stalking in your history or shit like that, you should not be allowed to continue. I'm sorry. There has to be some sort of balances here. People like JLR, so many in the true crime community have horrible backgrounds. And I don't care about people that had like little possession charges and did stuff to them stupid selves. Like if you're going and stealing a damn lipstick from a CVS or you have a drug issue and you have on you whatever you've got, if you're like a major dealer, no, you shouldn't be on here. If you're doing stupid shit to yourself because you have issues, you shouldn't be punished for that. That's how I feel about it. But you still, if you get past a certain amount of subscribers and you become like a big name like JLR has, I'm sorry, how many times did you get in trouble for doing stupid shit? You have an ex-wife coming out talking. You've got your ex-girlfriend coming out talking. We've got all kinds of shit being said on that Molly Go Lightly Girls channel from JLR's ex calling and talk about how he has to have his head covered up whenever he does certain things. Like all kinds of crazy shit's coming out, okay? And that can all stay over there because all I care about is the police reports. I mean, I'm listening to all of it, but I'm only going to talk about things that I know are real. the police reports, the court documentation. But there's some cray-cray stuff. He's got several felonies. And he wasn't just locked up in a prison. He was locked up in a mental institute prison because he's off his rocker. And as soon as he got out and got put on, parole, he crossed state lines and started his shit all over again. There are some disturbing ass videos of this man out there doing disgusting things, saying disgusting things, proud of himself. Even today, he's posting stuff on Twitter, and he's just proving the point. He's proven the point. And this is a man that was led into Steve Goncalves' house, that Bullhorn Betty and Chronicles of Alivea had around everybody and the mama over there. After he said that Kaylee and Maddie were out selling themselves. That's the kind of person that Steve wanted in his circle. After he already came out and said all that shit. I'm sorry. How do you sit there and take a selfie with a man who sat here and just talked so shittily about your child? I don't find anything wrong with my mindset on these things. At all. Like, I'm sorry. You'd be getting punched in the damn face. It would be not a selfie with my arm around your neck. There'd be some scruffing. We'd be some fighting. I'm sorry, you said what about my kid on your stupid ass YouTube channel with no proof at all, saying she's doing all kind of crazy shit, and hundreds of thousands of people now think that she's some sort of S worker on the internet because you said some crazy shit with no proof? Oh no, we would not be taking selfies. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm going to get off of here now. Let this little weirdo argue with herself because she's stupid. She's proved she's got low IQ in her first message. Pointless. Okay. I am going to get off of here. Do some editing. We're probably going to go live tomorrow and go over the interview that Savannah Guthrie did, because there's some interesting new information when it comes to the back door being propped open and a couple other things. And that is interesting because I don't think we've heard that before, especially when we know that there was blood in the front of Nancy's house. There's no actual updates on anything. There's a couple of maybe things that got mentioned when it comes to the ransom notes. They still haven't released them. There's no news on her. There's no nothing. And they're all just kind of trying to go back about their lives. And it was given out in 3 parts. And then there was some sort of extended cut released. But I took all 3 of the parts and I'm putting them together. And then I'm going to go listen to see if there's anything additional in the extended cut, because I don't know why they separated it and then put it out the way that they did. And I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Because they could have, I don't know, they could have taken something out of the parts and then put it in the extended one, or maybe in the extended one, there's other things that are taken out. I don't know. So I'm just going to try to make sure that we've got the whole thing. But I want to sit here and I want to listen to it together because that's really all that we have. That's the only thing we have in this Nancy Guthrie case. And we haven't talked about it in a while because there hasn't been anything official. They did this thing the other day. I thought it was going to be some sort of press conference, and it wasn't. It was some pre-recorded interview that really didn't give much of anything, and just sort of like a memorial, a remembrance maybe type thing. But I want to listen to this interview. I'm sure plenty of you guys have already watched it, but I want to watch it together. It's just so strange how there's nothing. And again, I don't believe that this was supposed to be a ransom situation, because we didn't hear about a ransom until after it was asked about in the first press conference. That didn't happen right away, or at least whatever that press conference was. And ransom people don't take that long to ask for their money. So that was just something I find interesting that she's sort of stuck to in her interview, is how this had to be the reason. But what if it wasn't? And that's just what it ended up being, because somebody mentioned it and they wanted to throw off the scent by asking for a random ransom. Because they must not have thought it was too important. Nobody ever paid it. Even though they said they were going to, they never did. That whole case is just crazy to me. Right? I feel like it's bullshit. I feel like it's bullshit. Because it wasn't immediately asked for. And the way that it was asked for makes no sense through TMZ and these media outlets. It's just crazy because she's such an old lady that can barely go to the mailbox and back on a good day. It's just crazy. So we're going to go over it tomorrow. Yes. Yes. I can tell you when. Let's see. I'm not going to show it to you. Okay, 6/19/24, Alivea Jewel Goncalves, domestic battery. And it was called in at 22:07 hours. And there's a transcript connected to a Kootenai County Sheriff's Office report. See if it has the thing on it. It has the long-term call ID is CD 3229566 for a domestic dispute. And I'm pretty sure this was at like a Airbnb. And what I found really weird is how, like, while she's like talking to the officer, she says that she doesn't know her husband's date of birth, which is crazy. Yeah, 6/19/24. And even in this, even though they were married, she's still going by Goncalves. 3 officers got to the scene. It has Alivea as the offender. She's also the one who made the call. Incident report 24-27558. It's 7 pages long. And the very ending of it says, I transported Goncalves to PSB and left her in the custody of the jail deputies. Due to the facts and statements above, I believe Goncalves was in violation of IC 19918, felony domestic battery. Yes. True story. Yep. Yup. It happened. Then take your little bitch ass out of here. How about that? Ooh, hoo, hoo. Bullying actually has to be a thing, but go cry somewhere else. Because you realize that, like, if you falsely report stuff, that, like, you risk your page being, like, gone, even if you're just a viewer. But go ahead and lie. Possible. There was sure a lot going on. While it's hot, it's not even being talked about. See, I really can't deal with stupid. I've given you so many chances, and now you're just, like, out of here. Go cry in your pillow. Yeah, it's crazy. I really want to know how all of those people feel, knowing how dangerous he is and how his background is and how he was just hanging out in their neighborhood for a month. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. But yeah, no, it definitely happened. It definitely happened. Yeah, her first reaction. Okay, well, I apologize. And I appreciate you reporting that person because they're stupid. I thought you were telling me that I was bullying people in the chat, but they're gone now. You're so stupid. Another dumbass. Another idiot. So I guess you can leave too, but I'm sure you're just going to show up with like another account because y'all always have so many accounts because y'all are like so pathetic. I don't trust Dateline anymore either. Speaking of Dateline, are we going to get any information about the leak? Like, we're almost in April. It's been almost a year. And the last time that we heard about it was an interview with Bill Thompson months ago, where he said that as far as he understood, it was still happening. Are we going to get any information? I would love to know. I know. Because I want to know, like, what was factual and what wasn't. Like, we know what Gilbertson told us. No, there was a lady that sent me an email saying that she had it recorded, and she messaged me from her business email, just so that she could see that, like, I could see that she was like a real person and not a troll. She does have like an actual like online business that's been around for a while, so she emailed me from her business email. I just don't know how to get it, because she's overseas, and I don't know if she has like a thing where she can like upload it on the back end of YouTube and like send it to me unlisted so that I have the file, or if she could do it through the Google Drive or however it works. I don't know what they have access to over there. I think they do feel like we're just going to like forget about it, and they're just going to like handle it privately. I just really wish that we had some more information on that. Because there's even channels on YouTube that play like full ass episodes of these like Dateline shows, Law and Order shows, Law and Crime shows, like all of them. And they're not monetized because they could not be monetized and have that on there in its entirety. It would get struck down. Even those channels don't have this episode. So the only thing that I can figure is that at some point they did, but then once they realized it was part of a leak, some sort of injunction must have been filed with YouTube to have everyone who had it taken down, monetized or not, against the rules or not, because it's literally nowhere. It's literally nowhere. I don't know why. Oh, I guess I didn't think about doing that. I know how to do all that stuff. I guess I'll look there and try to find it. Like, there's clips of it still out in certain places, but I need the entire thing. I really need the entire thing. Oh, I know. I saw it already. I apologize to her. I realized that she was yelling at the other idiot. Yeah, I think it's gone. It's just gone. I mean, it says that, yeah, she was dropped off with a felony. And that's just factual information. It's not somebody making up a story. It's not somebody coming out and like, it's not defamation if there's a freaking police report. It's not defamation if somebody was actually arrested. It's not defamation if there's a 911 call. It's not defamation if it's public record. Just because you don't like what's being said doesn't mean it's a lie. It just means that you need to stop and grow up a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. What show are we watching right now? Oh, my son has started to watch Impractical Jokers and has me watching them a lot, but I don't really think they're very funny. Is that bad? I don't think the Impractical Jokers are very funny at all. But maybe I'll laugh tonight. We'll see. I'm going to set the live up in the morning at some point to go over the Savannah Guthrie interview. So I'll see you guys then. Have a beautiful night. Get some rest. Tomorrow's Sunday and then Monday, but it'll be okay. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being in here. Thank you for the super stickers and the super chats, the people that joined on their own and the gifted memberships. Again, do not forget that we have our members only live this coming Monday where we will do a giveaway. Thank you for the $4.99, Kim. 1 month, Miss Mojo. You've been here a whole lot longer than that, though. A whole lot longer than that. I appreciate you guys being in here and caring about facts and caring about the truth and caring when we're being told one thing and then told something else and giving enough shit to try to figure out which one is the fact and which one is the tale and which one we need to stick with and which one we can throw away, because facts are the only things that matter here, not how you feel about them. Okay. Y'all have a super, super great night. Thank you again so much for being in here. I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.